From the time I was little, something in me was always a little off. I never listened to the whole story, only half of it. My grandmother called me a good-for-nothing, who was financially burdening the family. She bought a little boy to be my younger brother, and told me to take good care of him. I understood the part about buying a child, so I immediately called the police and reported her for illegal human trafficking. My father pointed at my face and cursed me for being unfilial, accusing me of cutting off his family line. I obeyed him, crept into his room while he slept that night, and used a knife to cut off his lineage. My father screamed in agony. In the chaos, he accidentally killed me. When I opened my eyes again, I had transmigrated into the female lead of a melodramatic abuse novel. After 10 years of marriage to the cruel male lead, his childhood sweetheart had just returned from abroad and was undergoing kidney surgery. He dragged me to the hospital and cruelly ordered me to donate a kidney to his precious first love. I nodded obediently, went out and bought a pig, and on the spot dug out the pig's kidney and handed it to him. The mailman's expression darkened to something frightening. "Lily, are you an idiot? I told you to donate a kidney. A human kidney. Do you have any idea how important Wendy is to me? She once saved my life. I have to repay that debt of gratitude." I thought it over for a moment, then nodded in understanding. "I'm sorry, I misunderstood earlier." My docility made him pause slightly. The fury in his eyes cooled by several degrees, and his tone softened as well. "It is fine. Go get yourself ready." I nodded, then gently poured him a glass of water. Perhaps feeling a bit guilty about shouting at me, he drank it. Soon after, he said he felt sleepy and told me to make proper pre-op preparations, while he went to rest in the ward. Smiling, I followed behind him. After watching him lie down, I called a nurse over first. "The kidney donor is ready." I watched, deeply moved as the male lead was wheeled into the operating room. When the red light above the operating room door came on, tears welled up in my eyes. I never expected him to be willing to donate a kidney, just to repay a life-saving favor. I had to tell his childhood sweetheart about this touching act. "Lily, why are you still here? Shouldn't you be in the operating room?" A sharp voice questioned me from behind. I turned back in confusion and rummaged through my memories until I recognized the woman in front of me, who was the male lead's childhood sweetheart, Wendy Cooper. I tilted my head puzzled. "Wendy, shouldn't you be in surgery right now?" She strode over quickly and pointed at the operating room. "If you are here, then who is in there?" I answered honestly, "The male." "Oh, right." I corrected myself, "Matt." Wendy's eyes flew wide open. "What? You actually let Matt go into surgery? Willie, are you stupid?" I blinked my large, innocent eyes. "He said you are his childhood sweetheart and that you once saved his life. He said he had to personally repay that life-saving debt at my words." Wendy was deeply shaken. Her eyes reddened slightly as she looked at the operating room with emotion. I blinked again and asked curiously, "Wendy, aren't you supposed to be having surgery? Why are you standing here?" She shot me a glare. "I'm going in for surgery right now." "Oh." I believed her and watched her retreating figure with genuine emotion. What a pair of. I thought about it for a long time, but couldn't come up with the right words. Calling them a pair of lovebirds didn't seem right. They weren't married. Matt and I were the married couple, so that wouldn't work. But Matt didn't like me. I'd seen on television that when a husband and wife don't love each other, they can choose to divorce. I patted my slightly defective head and pulled out my phone to contact a lawyer about divorce. When Matt was wheeled out of the operating room, I dutifully went over to take care of him, as his wife should. When he finally woke up and noticed the incision on his chest, he immediately demanded, "Lily, what did you do to me?" I blinked and answered truthfully, "A kidney donation surgery." He glared at me furiously. "Are you stupid, Lily? I told you to donate your kidney. Why did you donate mine?" Before I could say a word, Wendy walked in with reddened eyes and threw herself into Matt's arms, overcome with emotion. "Thank you. I never imagined you'd be willing to go this far for me." Crying so hard, she looked pitiful. Wendy successfully dampened Matt's rage. His gaze softened, the emotions in his eyes turning as sweet as honey. Even his voice grew gentle. "For you, I'd do anything." When he looked at me again, his eyes turned vicious. "Can't you see I am a patient? Hurry up and get me something to eat." I didn't want to, but I was his wife. We weren't divorced yet, so I had a responsibility. The problem was I didn't know how to cook, but he ordered me to do it anyway. Following my memories, I went home and step by step followed instructions on my phone to cook some porridge, then brought it to the hospital. He flew into a rage and dumped my food straight into the trash. "Lily, did you do this on purpose? Are you trying to kill me so you can become a widow?" I blinked. Then that night, I started sharpening a knife. The sound of my sharpening woke Matt when he saw the cleaver in my hand. His face went deathly pale. He screamed and ran out of the room. After that, a nurse politely escorted me out. But Matt was the one who said I should become a widow. Even went out of my way to look up what being widowed meant. And being widowed meant I would be free of my husband. After being kicked out, I felt deeply regretful that I couldn't become a widow. For a long while after that, Matt didn't call for me again. So I focused wholeheartedly on figuring out the divorce. Even drafted a divorce agreement. Half a month later, Matt called. Wendy just graduated and is still a medical intern. She wants to practice surgery. Bring your mom over and let Wendy practice on her mom. Grandma once said that girls were nothing but good for nothings and financially burdened the family. They would eventually be married off. Once married, your husband's mother became your real mother. And you were nothing but an outsider to your birth family. Once I got married, I was only allowed to acknowledge one mother in this life. My mother-in-law. But my mother-in-law was Matt's real mother. Was he sure? I hesitated. But what if she dies? He answered impatiently. Then she dies. She should consider herself lucky that she has chosen to help Wendy practice. I thought for a moment, then asked, what if mom doesn't agree? Matt grew even more annoyed. Don't you know how to drug her? You were so good at drugging me last time. Can't you do it again? He hung up, tapped to end the recording. I might be a little slow, but after hearing my situation, the lawyer felt very sorry for me, because I am missing a screw and only ever hear half of what is said. The lawyer was worried I wouldn't remember things. He told me to record every call with Matt. Said it might help later, when it came time to divide property. I am very obedient. As soon as I hung up, I sent the recording to the lawyer. Right now, I was still Matt's wife. So, I was supposed to listen to him. Grandma always said that as long as you are someone's wife, even for one day, you must listen to your husband for that day. But the police officer said, I can't break the law. After thinking it over, I called Matt back. We can't do this. It is illegal. Matt snapped impatiently. Then bring your mom to me. I'll handle it myself. That didn't give me a chance to refuse. Before hanging up again, I blinked. Only then did I realize I'd forgotten to start the recording. But it was just 1 or 2 sentences. Probably not important. I was only calling my mother-in-law to meet with her son. That should be fine, right? I called my mother-in-law. By the time she arrived, I headed over. As well, when I got there and went to look for her, I was told she'd already been sent into the operating room. I was surprised that fast. Had Matt drugged her and sent her in? Didn't he know that was his own mother? I went to the operating room entrance and happened to see Matt. He was holding Wendy's hand, chatting and laughing. As I walked over, I stepped forward to remind him, Matt, do you even know who was sent into surgery? At that, Wendy, who had been smiling, suddenly teared up. If Lily doesn't want to help me, then forget it. She doesn't trust that I am capable enough. Lily must be worried about me. I hurriedly waved my hands. No, that is not it. I am just worried about Matt. After all, that is. Matt shoved me aside impatiently. What is there to worry about? It is not my mom. I may be missing a screw, but I still had a conscience. I chased after them. What if the practice surgery fails? I know I am not in a position to say this, but that is still a human life. Matt rolled his eyes. Practice surgeries are risky. If she dies all right. I already signed the risk consent form on your behalf. I am your mom's family. I have the right to sign. I reached out to stop him before I could speak. Matt shoved me hard and frowned as he shut the operating room doors. Just before the doors closed, I saw Wendy turn and smile smugly at me, silently mouthing that she would never let my mom come out alive. I was pushed to the ground. I climbed back up, dusted off my pants, and shook my head helplessly. The one receiving the practice surgery wasn't even my real mom. What was I worried about? I hadn't expected Matt to be this ruthless. It seemed bringing up divorce had been the right decision. The lawyer handed me the drafted divorce agreement, and I sat waiting outside the operating room. 3 hours later, they came out laughing and chatting. Matt pulled off his mask and said to me, "Coolly, Lily, your mom is dead." I also had Wendy dissect her, so she could study the human body. Then he tossed me a body donation consent form. Sign it with his hands in his pockets. Matt looked at me with nothing but indifference. What kind of compensation do you want? Say it and I'll give it to you. I shook my head. I can't sign this. Only you can. You are her son. I quickly handed him the divorce agreement. You don't like me, and we're not suited to be husband and wife. Let's get divorced. Matt's eyes darkened sharply. So your compensation is divorce and taking half of my assets. He slammed the divorce agreement hard into my face. I didn't expect this. Lily, you are more calculating than I thought. Every clause your lawyer wrote is airtight, but why should my property go to you? If you want a divorce, fine, but only if you leave with nothing. I answered honestly. The lawyer said, "This is my right," thinking of what Grandma always said, that once a woman marries, she should put her husband's family first. I added, "I am doing this for your own good. If something happens to you, at least you'll still have half your assets. Otherwise, you might end up with nothing." He clenched his teeth and shouted that I was cursing him. Wendy stepped in looking aggrieved. "Matt, this is all my fault. I was too foolish and messed up during practice. Lily must be blaming me. That is why she wants to divorce you." She sobbed as she spoke, then said she would give her life to repay my mother. Crying, she even made as if to rush toward the window. Matt grabbed her and coaxed her gently. "Wendy, don't do this. It hurts me to see you like this." As he comforted her, Wendy fainted. His gaze toward me grew even more hateful as he swept her up into his arms. Then he barked at me viciously. "There is no way I am giving you half. If you want compensation, I can give you a little, some assets, but anything related to the company, don't even think about touching it." Unhappy, I went back to the lawyer and explained the situation. The lawyer gave me another divorce agreement. This one no longer divided the assets in half. That's company was worth billions, with enormous cash flow and monthly net profits in the millions. He also owned a great deal of fixed property. This new agreement divided the fixed assets, giving me 2/3 of them and allocated another portion of liquid assets. Compared to company shares, it was less but far more practical. I didn't understand. So the lawyer explained, "First, ask for the moon. Then when you make a second demand, they're more likely to agree." I took the new divorce agreement and went to Matt. He glanced at it impatiently, then even praised me for being sensible. After signing, he said, "This is your compensation. Hurry up and sign the death certificate paperwork. And take your mom away." The divorce proceedings take 1 month to complete. Hearing that, I truly didn't understand. Hadn't he even looked at his mother's face during the dissection? I said, "Matt, I can't sign this, and I can't take her away. You are her son. Only you can sign take her or don't. If you don't, she'll stay in the morgue forever." Matt impatiently drove me out. I went home, packed a few changes of clothes, and left. He never contacted me again. Instead, Wendy kept posting on social media, showing off how well Matt treated her, where they traveled, what they did. She said it was because her practice surgery had failed, and he was taking her out to relax. A month later, the divorce proceedings were finalized, and all assets had been transferred. Matt and Wendy arrived at the courthouse hand in hand. As soon as he got the divorce certificate, Wendy immediately registered their marriage. She flaunted the marriage certificate in front of me, deliberately hugging and kissing Matt right before my eyes. Just then, a doctor called Matt, urging him, "Mr. Ryden, your mother's body has been in the morgue for a month now. When will you come to claim it?" Matt's expression changed instantly. Matt froze, the phone pressed to his ear. His face, which had been flushed with the joy of his new marriage to Wendy, turned the color of old paper. "What did you say?" he whispered. The doctor on the other end must have been loud, because I could hear the tinny voice vibrating in the air. "Mr. Ryden, please. The hospital morgue is at capacity. You signed the body donation and dissection paperwork a month ago. The dissection has been completed by Dr. Wendy Cooper. The remains need to be collected." Matt lowered the phone slowly. He looked at Wendy. Wendy was busy admiring the diamond ring on her finger, the one Matt had bought using the company credit card, which, according to the lawyer, was now technically unauthorized spending. "Wendy," Matt said, his voice trembling. "Who did you operate on?" Wendy giggled, not looking up. "Oh, Matt, don't be silly. It was Lily's useless mother. You know, the one she brought over. The practice went really well. I learned so much about the human gallbladder. Though, she did scream a lot before the anesthesia kicked in." I blinked. "My mother is in the countryside," I said helpfully. "I called her yesterday. She is planting corn." Matt's head snapped toward me. His eyes were bulging out of his sockets. "Lily, you said you brought your mother." "No," I corrected him. "You told me to bring my mother. But then you said, once you are married, your husband's mother becomes your real mother. You said I was only allowed to acknowledge one mother. So I brought the only mother I was allowed to have. Your mother." I paused, thinking back to the lawyer's advice about clarity. "Also, I tried to tell you. Outside the operating room. I said, 'Do you know who is inside?' And you said, 'It's not my mom.' You were very confident. I assumed you knew something I didn't." Matt let out a sound that wasn't quite human. It sounded like the pig I had bought for the kidney donation. He lunged at Wendy, grabbing her shoulders. "My mother," he screamed, shaking her. "You dissected my mother. You cut at my mother." Wendy's face went pale.
"What? No."
That old woman?" She kept shouting, "I'm Mrs. Ryden. I'm Matt's mother, but I thought." Wendy stammered, looking at me with pure venom. "I thought Lily hired an actor." I thought she was playing a prank. I cut the vocal cords first, so I could concentrate. Matt slapped Wendy. It was a loud, crisp sound. I took out my phone. According to the Domestic Violence Act, I recited, "This is grounds for immediate arrest. Should I call the police, or do you two want to continue your honeymoon?" Matt didn't hear me. He fell to his knees, howling. I looked at the lawyer. The lawyer adjusted his glasses and whispered to me, "Mrs.?" "Excuse me, Miss Lily. I believe now would be an excellent time to enforce the eviction notice." Matt and Wendy rushed to the hospital. I followed, mostly, because the lawyer said I needed to sign some final paperwork regarding the transfer of the marital home. When we arrived at the morgue, the scene was very lively. Matt was vomiting in a trash can. Wendy was trying to explain to the chief surgeon that it was an honest mistake, while the chief surgeon was screaming about a lawsuit and revoking her internship. When Matt saw the body, or what was left of it, stitched back together like a ragged doll, he fainted. I felt a little bad. I walked over to Wendy. "Did you enjoy the practice?" Wendy shrieked and tried to scratch my face. "You monster. You set me up. You did this on purpose." I took a step back. "I am not a monster. I am a good-for-nothing. Grandma said so. And I didn't set you up. I just listened to my husband. He told me to drug Mom and bring her here. I am very obedient." I played the recording on my phone again, just to be helpful. Matt's voice. "If she dies, she dies. She should consider herself lucky. Don't you know how to drug her?" The police officers who had just arrived to investigate the disturbance listened to the recording. They looked at Matt, who was just waking up, and then at the stitched-up body of the wealthy Mrs. Ryden Sr. "Sir," the officer said, clicking handcuffs onto Matt's wrists, "you have the right to remain silent." "Wait," Matt screamed, struggling. "It was her. It was Lily. She tricked me." The officer looked at me. I was wearing a faded t-shirt and blinking my large, confused eyes. I held up my disability card that said mental competency, borderline. "She tricked you into ordering her to drug your own mother, sign a consent form, and stand outside laughing while your girlfriend dissected her?" the officer asked dryly. "Get in the car." As they dragged Matt away, he looked at me. For a second, he didn't look angry. He looked terrified. "Lily," he pleaded, "call the best lawyer. Get me out." "I'm your husband." "Ex-husband," I corrected. "And you said I shouldn't touch the company money. Lawyers are expensive." I watched the police car drive away. Then I turned to Wendy. She was shivering. "Get out of my way," she hissed. "I'm going back to the villa. I need to sell some of Matt's watches to hire a defense attorney." I pulled a piece of paper from my bag. "Actually, about that. The villa is part of the fixed assets assigned to me in the divorce. The lawyer said you have 1 hour to vacate the premises before I change the locks." Wendy stared at me. You took the house?" "And the cars," I added. "And the vacation home in the Hamptons. And the purebred dogs. Though I might give the dogs back, they eat too much." Life became very quiet after that. I moved into the big villa. It was too big, really. I kept getting lost on the way to the kitchen. Matt was released on bail 3 days later. The company stocks had crashed because, apparently, investors do not like CEOs who authorize the dissection of their own mothers. The board of directors fired him before he even left the police station. He came to the villa pounding on the door. It was raining. This felt like a scene from the novel, except usually, the female lead is the one in the rain. I opened the door. I was wearing fluffy bear pajamas and eating a bowl of instant noodles. "Lily." Matt looked like a ghost. His expensive suit was wrinkled. "Lily, let me in. This is my house." "It's my house," I said. "I have the deed. I bought it. And you gave it to me as compensation. You said, if you want a divorce, fine, but don't touch the company." So I took the house instead. The lawyer said the house is worth $40 million. The company is currently in debt because of a scandal. I think I made a good trade. Matt stared at me. The rain dripped from his nose. "Lily, please. I have nowhere to go. My credit cards are frozen." Wendy left me." "Oh," I said. "That makes sense. In the novel, the male lead and the female lead are only together when everything is perfect. When there is trouble, they usually have a misunderstanding and break up." "What novel? What are you talking about?" Matt pushed past me, trying to enter the warmth. I grabbed his arm. My grip was very strong. Grandma used to make me carry 50-kilogram sacks of rice, and I had chopped a lot of wood. Also, I had been eating very well lately. I threw him back out into the rain. "You can't come in," I said seriously. "I am a single woman now. It would be improper. Grandma said a woman's reputation is her life. I am your husband, ex-husband, and you killed my mother-in-law. I don't think she would like you staying here." Matt sat in the mud and cried. I watched him for a while. I wondered if I should offer him an umbrella. But then I remembered he had thrown my porridge in the trash. An umbrella costs $10. Porridge costs 50 cents. The math didn't work out in his favor. I closed the door and went back to my noodles. A week later, I received a court summons. Wendy was suing me. She claimed I had caused her emotional distress and professional sabotage. She also claimed I had tricked her into performing the surgery. In the courtroom, Wendy wore white and cried beautifully. She looked like a lotus flower trembling in the wind. I didn't know, she sobbed to the judge. Lily told me it was a cadaver she bought. She said she wanted to contribute to science. I am a victim here. The judge looked at me. Mrs. Ryden, sorry, Ms. Lily. What do you have to say? I stood up. I have a question. Go ahead. Wendy said she needed a kidney transplant. 10 years ago. That is why Matt married me. To wait for my kidney. The court went silent. But I continued. Last month, she was healthy enough to perform a 3-hour dissection surgery. And now she is healthy enough to sue me. Matt told me her kidneys were failing and she was dying. If she was dying, how did she stand for 3 hours holding a scalpel? The judge frowned. He looked at Wendy's medical records, which my lawyer had subpoenaed. Miss Cooper, the judge said, adjusting his glasses. According to these records, you have never had kidney failure. You had a urinary tract infection in 2018? Is that it? Wendy stopped crying instantly. That's private medical information. It is relevant, the judge said. You claimed you needed a kidney. I raised my hand again. So, does Matt get his pig kidney back? The courtroom erupted in laughter. The judge banged his gavel. Case dismissed, the judge ruled. And I am recommending an investigation into Miss Cooper's medical license fraud. As we walked out, Wendy cornered me. Her face was twisted. You think you've won? Matt still loves me. He only hates you. I know, I said. I don't want him to love me. I want him to stay away. He is very loud, and he has bad hygiene. Matt is going to take everything back. Wendy hissed. We have a plan. Is it a good plan? I asked. Or is it like the plan where you cut up his mom? Wendy screamed and tried to push me down the stairs. I stepped to the side. I am good at dodging. My father used to throw beer bottles at me. Wendy was much slower than a beer bottle. She tumbled down the courthouse steps. It wasn't a long fall, just enough to twist her ankle and ruin her limited edition heels. Oh no, I said flatly. Help. Someone help. I walked down, stepped over her, and got into my Rolls Royce. My driver, a nice man named Bob, opened the door for me. Home, Miss Lily? Yes, Bob. And can we stop for fried chicken? The lawyer said I won, so I should celebrate. Matt and Wendy became desperate. They had no money, no reputation, and the police were building a case against Matt for assisted negligent homicide regarding his mother. So they decided to do what villains in novels always do. I was sleeping in my king-sized bed when I heard a noise. I opened my eyes. Matt and Wendy were standing over me. Matt had a rope. Wendy had a knife. Sign the papers, Matt whispered. He looked terrible. He hadn't shaved in weeks. Sign the papers returning all the assets to me, and we won't hurt you. We might hurt you a little, Wendy added, smiling crazy. I sat up. This is breaking and entering. And kidnapping. That is a felony. Shut up, Matt yelled. You ruined my life. You stupid, slow idiot. You ruined everything. I only did what you told me, I said. You said donate a kidney. I donated a kidney. You said bring mom. I brought mom. You said divorce. I divorced. I am the most obedient wife you ever had. Sign it. Wendy pressed the knife to my neck. I looked at the knife. It was my kitchen knife. I had sharpened it myself. You are holding it wrong, I said. What? The grip. If you hold it like that and you stab, your hand will slide onto the blade, and you will cut your own fingers. Wendy sneered. I'm a surgeon. I know how to hold on. I moved. Grandma said I was good for nothing, but she also said I was strong as an ox. I grabbed Wendy's wrist and twisted. There was a crack. Wendy dropped the knife, screaming. Matt lunged at me. I panicked. I didn't want to hurt him, but my body remembered the night with my father. I kicked. It was a reflex. I kicked him directly, in the lower area. The same place I had targeted on my father, though this time I didn't use a knife. Matt made a sound like a deflating bagpipes and collapsed. He curled into a ball, foaming at the mouth. Oh dear, I said. I think I cut off the lineage again. But only metaphorically this time. I picked up the rope they brought. I tied Matt's ankles to Wendy's ankles. Then I tied their hands together. They looked like a very unhappy pretzel. I called the police. Hello? Yes, it is Lily. The intruders are here. I have secured them. Yes, I am safe. I am making tea. Would the officers like some tea when they arrive? The trial was very short. Matt and Wendy were charged with attempted kidnapping, extortion, and assault with a deadly weapon. Combined with the investigation into Matt's mother's death, things did not look good for them. Matt's lawyer tried to plead insanity. He claimed Matt had been driven mad by grief and my psychological torture. The judge looked at me. I was sitting in the front row, knitting a scarf. I had dropped a stitch and was very focused on fixing it. Psychological torture? The judge asked. By her? She pretends to be stupid. Matt screamed from the defendant's chair. She's a mastermind. She planned it all. She orchestrated the kidney, the pig, the mom. She's a devil. I looked up. I am not a devil. I am a Pisces. The jury laughed. Matt's outburst actually helped his insanity plea, but not in the way he wanted. The court determined that while he was guilty, he was also mentally unstable. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison, to be served in a high-security psychiatric facility. Wendy turned on him immediately. He forced me, she shrieked. He made me hold the knife. He made me cut his mom. The judge didn't like her. She got 12 years for being an accomplice and for medical fraud. As they were led away, Matt stopped and looked at me one last time. Why? He asked. I gave you a home. I gave you food. Why did you do this? I tilted my head. I genuinely thought about it. You told me to, I said. You said, Lily, go sharpen a knife. You said, Lily, become a widow. You said, Lily, donate a kidney. I just wanted to be a good wife. But you were very hard to please. Matt started laughing. He laughed and laughed until the guards dragged him out. 5 years passed. I became very good at being rich. It turns out being rich is much easier than being poor. People are nicer to you when you have money. They don't call you slow anymore. They call you eccentric or stoic. I didn't remarry. The lawyer asked me if I was lonely. No, I said. Husbands are dangerous. They want your kidneys, and they make you kill their mothers. I prefer dogs. I bought a dog, a golden retriever. I named him Matt. Dog Matt was much better than human Matt. He ate the porridge I cooked without complaining. He was loyal. And when I threw a ball, he actually brought it back instead of asking for company shares. One day, I received a letter from the psychiatric prison. It was from human Matt. Lily, the food here is terrible. The porridge is lumpy. I think about your porridge sometimes. It was lumpy too, but at least it didn't taste like despair. Wendy is in the women's wing. I hear she is working in the laundry. It's funny. She used to have hands of gold. Now she washes socks. I have a lot of time to think. I think you really were just stupid. I was the one who was smart. But if I was so smart, why am I in here and you're out there? Send me some money, please. I need to buy cigarettes. Matt. I read the letter. Then I took a pen and wrote back. Dear Matt, I cannot send money. The lawyer said that would be financing a criminal. I have to follow the rules. Also, I cannot visit. Dog Matt gets jealous if I smell like other Matts. I hope you learn to be obedient in there. Grandma said obedience is a virtue. Sincerely, Lily. I put the letter in the mailbox. The sun was shining. I had a meeting with my financial advisor later. Apparently, the pig kidney farm I invested in as a joke was now making millions because of a new organ transplant technology. I patted my head. I am still a little off, I whispered to myself. But I think I am doing okay. I walked down the street, humming a song. I only knew half the lyrics, but that was enough.